They say fame is earned, that it comes after years of hard work, sacrifice, and playing by the rules. Jake Paul didn't chase fame, he hijacked it and sold it back to us with interest. Before the Lambos, the boxing rings, and the billion-view controversies, Jake Paul was just another Ohio kid, born in 1997, raised in Westlake, playing sports and terrorizing his older brother Logan. Totally normal until the internet happened. Enter Vine. 6-second videos, Jake only needed 3 to become unignorable. While the rest of us were figuring out algebra, he was figuring out virality. Prank by prank, stunt by stunt, chaos by design. What started as teen mischief turned into full-blown internet dominance. YouTube, Team 10, Disney, boxing, NFTs. If there was clout to grab, Jake didn't just chase it. He turned it into cash, controversy, and control. He didn't rise to fame. He hacked it, packaged it, sold it. The real question, did he beat the system or become it? He went from 6-second videos to a Disney contract, then blew it all up for clicks. Was it self-destruction or just the first move in a much bigger plan? So many watched, in fact, that Disney called. Disney, the most family-friendly brand on the planet, gave Jake Paul a shot. They cleaned him up, put him in front of studio lights, and hoped he'd play the part. For a while it worked. He smiled. He hit his marks. He was a Disney star. But Jake Paul wasn't built to follow scripts. And Disney, they weren't built for damage control. So when the off-camera Jake started hosting wild parties, filming reckless stunts, and racking up noise complaints across LA, Disney did what corporations always do. They cut him loose. Most kids in Hollywood would have crumbled. Jake didn't. He built Team 10, a social media house before creator houses were even a thing. A mansion stuffed with influencers, TikTokers, vloggers, and content machines. But this wasn't just a content house. It was a drama factory. A soap opera disguised as YouTube uploads. Everything filmed, everything is edited for maximum clicks. And when something broke, a friendship, a contract, a window, it only added to the views. It wasn't polished, it wasn't classy, but it worked. And the merch? Forget about it. Jake slapped his name on hoodies, phone cases, backpacks, and made $30 million in a single year. Most CEOs would kill for that revenue. Jake did it in between boxing lessons and diss tracks. He didn't chase fame, he engineered outrage and monetized every second. They say attention is currency. Jake Paul printed his own.
Money changes everything. But for Jake Paul, money never changed him. It just amplified what was already there. The ego, the hunger, the absurdity. Let's talk numbers. Because Jake Paul doesn't just live large, he lives in bold, italic, all caps. He spent $5.3 million on a single Pokémon card. Not to keep it in a glass case, no, he wore it around his neck in public, like a rapper would wear a platinum chain. Because for Jake, flexing isn't optional, it's content. His home? A sprawling $11 million mansion in Puerto Rico. No neighbors to complain, no taxes to ruin the fun, just sun, palm trees, and a full-time camera crew on standby. His closet? Rolexes, Balenciaga, custom Jordans. His driveway? A rotating fleet of Lambos, G-Wagons, and probably something experimental that runs on controversy. But it doesn't stop there. Jake dipped into crypto, because of course he did. Launched a coin, it flopped, still made money. Why? Because when Jake sells something, he's not selling a product, he's selling Jake Paul. And people always pay for chaos. When the internet gives you lemons, Jake sells lemonade for $99.99 plus shipping. He invests in startups now. Some make sense. Others sound like they were dreamed up at 2 a.m. in a hot tub. But even when they tank, he wins, because losing publicly still pays. Traditional business logic says you need to be trustworthy, strategic, and balanced. But for Jake Paul, no logic applies. He's not playing by Wall Street rules, he's playing by click rules. And every time you roll your eyes, that's another view, another ad, another dollar. So again, is he dumb lucky? Or did he just understand the internet better than the rest of us? He got kicked out of Disney and somehow ended up dating a real-life ice princess. So is Jake Paul finally evolving? Or is this just romance? Rebranded? Jutta, Olympic speed skater, world champion, Dutch royalty on ice. The complete opposite of Jake's entire brand. She's poised, polished, a national icon, and yet she's dating Jake Paul. Let that sink in. Most people say opposites attract, But this was like fire dating ice. Literally, one's chaos in a Supreme hoodie, the other's elegance is carved from snow. And yet somehow, it works? They're cuddling in Europe, posting couple pics, training in the gym, laughing on private boats. And the internet is confused and obsessed. Who saw that coming? Jake Paul pulled a real-life Disney princess after getting kicked out of Disney. So is it genuine?
Is this Jake softening, growing, loving? Or is this just another genius pivot? A rebrand wrapped in affection and European backdrops? Hard to say, but here's what we do know. The pairing boosted Jake's public image, humanized his chaotic persona, and pulled in a whole new demo. Moms started commenting, teens started swooning, and suddenly, Jake Paul wasn't just a headline anymore. He was romantic. He's 27, Tyson is 58. One makes memes, the other made men bleed, and they're about to fight. Will this be a knockout moment in Jake's legacy? Or the final punch to his credibility? Let's be clear, this isn't a parody. This isn't a TikTok fantasy matchup. This is a real licensed PPV bout. Jake Paul, age 27, YouTube-born, controversy-fed, social media bred, versus Mike Tyson, age 58, ex-con, former heavyweight champion, one of the most dangerous men to ever put on gloves. Insanity? Maybe, or maybe it's exactly the next logical step in the Jake Paul timeline. Think about it. He's boxed ex-NBA players, retired MMA fighters, influencers, and even a few legitimate threats. But Mike Tyson? That's not just a fight, that's a cultural event. People are calling it reckless. Others say it's brilliant. A few call it disgraceful. Jake calls it content. Either the boldest move in boxing history or the dumbest headline ever written. Mike might be older and slower, but he's still terrifying. Jake might be younger and faster, but still mocked by boxing purists. Doesn't matter, because this isn't just about belts, it's about buzz, and no one builds buzz like Jake Paul. He wore a $5 million Pokémon card to a fight, not for flex, for views. Is it all genius branding, or the world's most expensive identity crisis? For years, Jake and Logan Paul were a package deal, the chaotic brothers who stormed YouTube like a pair of hurricanes with GoPros. They pranked, they fought, they vlogged side by side, whether you loved them or hated them. You couldn't scroll past them. They were YouTube royalty, internet outlaws, a marketing duo that broke every rule and cashed every check. But recently, something changed. The collabs disappeared. The birthday shoutouts stopped. The social media silence grew louder. They didn't unfollow each other right away, but the vibe, ice cold. From brothers in crime to silent rivals, the Paul family brand might just turn into a pay-per-view grudge match. Is this real tension? Or the most profitable sibling rivalry in internet history? Nobody knows for sure, but fans are noticing. Subtle jabs in podcasts, passive-aggressive tweets, silent digs through silence itself. Are we getting Jake versus Logan in the ring? Or just a passive-aggressive podcast war? The internet doesn't care which it is, they just want the explosion. A Paul versus Paul fight? That's not just drama, that's legacy warfare. With ticket sales, it's ironic, isn't it? They made millions by playing brothers online. Now they might make even more pretending not to be. FBI raids fake coins canceled a dozen times, and somehow Jake Paul is still trending. If nothing sticks to him anymore, who's really in control? He's been raided by the FBI, faced sexual assault allegations, promoted scam crypto coins, climbed the Statue of Liberty for a photo, faked online beef for views, been canceled at least a dozen times. And yet, he's still here, still rich, still trending, still winning. Most celebrities would crumble under just one of those scandals. Most influencers disappear when the outrage gets loud. Jake Paul, he thrives in it. Every controversy becomes a YouTube thumbnail. Every headline becomes a hook. He doesn't apologize the way PR teams want him to. He leans in, amplifies, reacts, profits. Most people would be canceled 6 times over. Jake, he trends again, and again, and again. He doesn't hide his past, he recycles it. He doesn't run from criticism, he screenshots it. For Jake, every L is just marketing for the next W. That's the terrifying brilliance of it all. Because if nothing sticks to him, who's really in control? So now we're here, 6 chapters deep into the life of a man who, by every traditional definition, should have burned out by now. He's loud, he's cocky, he's been canceled, mocked, memed, and written off more times than we can count. And yet, he's living in an $11 million mansion,
flying private, wearing a $5.3 million Pokémon chain, training with legends, dating an Olympian, and gearing up to fight one of the most dangerous men in boxing history. How? Because Jake Paul figured out something most people never do. Fame is not about being liked, it's about being watched. And whether you're watching to cheer, cringe, or secretly hope he gets knocked out, you're still watching. Jake Paul is the internet's ultimate anti-hero. Not polished, not perfect, but unforgettable. You don't have to like Jake Paul, but you're still watching. And that's exactly how he wins. He's been called everything. A joke, a clown, a menace, a genius. But love her or hate him, you know his name. You've seen the headlines. You've clicked the videos. You've said, "This guy again?" While watching every second. Jake Paul doesn't beg for attention, he hijacks it. And every scandal, every flex, every absurd move, that's not a mistake, that's marketing. He's not trying to be your role model. He's here to own the algorithm, break the rules, and cash the check before you've even figured out what just happened. While the world argues about whether he's a genius or a fraud, Jake's already planning his next viral stunt. Because in the end, Jake Paul isn't just playing the game, he is the game.